Welcome. This is the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. This is where you'll learn strategies to help you achieve lifetime financial freedom through real estate investment. Your host, Rod Khleif, has owned over 2,000 homes and apartments, and he brings experts in all aspects of real estate investment and management onto the show. Now, here's your host, Rod Khleif.
So I have a couple of housekeeping things for you guys. If you haven't heard, we are now at 1.2 million downloads for this podcast. And I just am so grateful for you guys listening and the positive feedback that we get from you. And over the last year, I've spoken with or communicated with literally almost 1,000 of you, and it has been awesome. Now, lots of you have asked me for coaching and mentoring or, to create a course or some training materials. And I had no plans to do that when I started this podcast, but finally, after so many of you asked, I finally decided to go ahead and do it. And I will tell you, I'm close to launching an incredible course and coaching program. And I want to help you guys crush it in this business and build lifetime cash flow quickly. So if you want to get information on this, text the word crush to 41411 and we'll be sure to send you information when it becomes available. And if any of you have read my book, you realize I don't do things halfway. So when I tell you that it's awesome, it really is awesome. So excited to get that out. But also want to mention the book is still free. I'm finalizing it on Amazon. I was waiting for some testimonials from some other luminaries in the real estate space, and I've gotten them, and I'm just putting the finishing touches on it. So, every review I've gotten for that book has been great. If you haven't gotten your free copy, make sure you do that. Text ROD to 41411 or go to rodkhleif.com. All right, let's get to it. Welcome to another edition of How to Build Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Rod Khleif, and I am thrilled you're here. And you guys are going to really enjoy the two gentlemen we're interviewing today. Their names are Sterling White and Jacob Blackett, and they have taken down a 46 unit. They've done a ton of business in the single-family space, and now they've come over from the dark side to the light side, and they're in multifamily. And I don't know why I threw that Star Wars reference in there, but anyway, so they have 46 units. They've got 50 units under contract, and we are going to dissect those deals, and we're going to find out what makes these guys tick. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Rod.
Thank you so much. Welcome, world, to the most interesting podcast.
Okay, thank you for that. So let's start with Jacob, and maybe you can tell us your story as to why you got into real estate, and then Sterling, you'll get your chance, and really how you got where you're at.
Yeah, I'd love to. I was studying finance and economics at the University of Nevada, and it was my freshman year. Late one night, I saw an infomercial, real estate, make millions, and they're having a free seminar. So that was really what turned my head towards real estate. And of course, with college, there's no formal real estate classes. And so I decided to check out that free seminar, and that led to purchasing some education and what eventually led to a couple flips that I did my sophomore year of
Where
college.
at?
And so those flips were down in the San Bernardino area.
Okay, California. Okay.
Yeah, down in Southern California. And got polished up pretty good on those first couple deals. Unfortunately, didn't quite put the pieces together. There was a lot of hype that was translated through the seminar process. And just really it's an accumulation of little things, not really getting the after repair value down. The realtor kind of inflated what he was thinking we could sell these things for. And then some construction mayhem led to some, we spent twice as much in construction costs. And so, yeah, after those first couple flips, when all was said and done, I found myself about $110,000 in the hole.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Wow.
So that was...
when was that? What year was that?
So I was 19 years old, sophomore year in college, and that would have been 2009, 2010.
Oh, okay. So you got caught in the crash.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, because I mean that was right at the downside of the crash, 09. So maybe did that impact your ability to sell those properties? Was that the issue? Why'd you lose that large amount of money? I have to know the answer to that.
So the biggest reason is that I had taken $100,000 and I used hard money lenders.
Okay.
And I used $100,000 to do 2 deals. And so I was paying very high interest, and the rehabs, $20,000 rehabs turned into $30,000 and $40,000 rehabs. I was penciled out a $25,000 to $30,000 profit margin. And so the deals took a long time, which accumulated tons of interest every single month. And then, so it's just that over leverage took way long. And then we sold them for $20,000, $30,000 less than what we had projected. So,
wow. Oh, that's a painful seminar. I'm surprised that didn't sour you on real estate in general. That says a lot about you, that you kept persevering and pushing forward, because a lot of people, if they'd have lost that kind of money in their first deal, wouldn't have gone forward. So what happened after that? What prompted you to continue staying in real estate?
So I kept my full-time job working in college. I was actually working at a Walmart distribution center, and on the weekends, pay my rent. And I just kept learning about real estate because I met people who were doing good things, who were making money, and I knew that was possible. And my other part of me is I needed to repay. I ended up loaning that money, lending that money from my loaning that money.
Borrowing the money. You borrowed the money from people you knew. So
from my grandma.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, there you go.
So I knew that getting into a financial degree or a financial career wasn't going to pay that $120,000 back very soon. And I was desperate to get that back to her. So it just fueled the fire.
Okay. So what'd you do? Keep flipping?
I put my head down and just kept learning and kept growing my knowledge base and meeting people, getting ready for the game plan, which turned into moving to Indianapolis, Indiana, where I was able to, my senior year of college, I maxed out my student loans so that I could get some working capital, which was about $30,000 of my own capital. And then I moved to Indianapolis, where there were these $15,000, $20,000 homes. And so I started there. I took my time, and within a few months, I bought my first $15,000 home and sold it for $20,000, and just rinse and repeat.
Okay, so you were flipping. You weren't wholesaling. You were actually flipping these houses. You closed on them.
It was wholesaling in a way, except I would close on them.
And for those of you that are listening that don't know the difference, wholesaling is where you're selling the contract. You tie up the property, you put it under contract, and you sell the contract to a flipper or a person that is going to hold on to it and rent it. It's a great business. In fact, one of the bonuses on my course that's coming up before too long is a full-blown 12-module. It's called the World's Greatest Wholesaling Course on wholesaling single family and multifamily. And it'll really add, it's just a bonus to the other course. So it's adding a ton of value.
And you know what happened, Rod, and this may be applicable to anyone looking to get started who may be listening to this podcast, is I went out there and I found these deals, and I ended up selling these deals to this one individual. His name was Aaron Adams. He was purchasing everything I was finding. And so that got me directly involved in his organization. And so I was bringing value to him by finding these deals. And his operation, he'd buy 100 to 200 homes a year. And so I was able to take a step right into his organization. So that's a good pointer for anyone looking to get started, is just bringing deals to experienced investors.
Sure. No, you're absolutely right. You go to your local RIA meetings, you find in the course that I was just talking about, the way you do wholesaling is you actually, and we'll get back on track here in just a second, but the way you do wholesaling is you actually find your buyers first. You build your buyers list, and you find them by going to your real estate meetings or advertising that you've got a phenomenal deal to make the phone ring, or there are a number of ways that you'll learn. But those ultimate buyers are going to be experienced real estate entrepreneurs. And so you use this Adams fellow in Indianapolis to learn the business, which is fantastic. It's a great way to do it. If you're almost finished, we'll let Sterling tell his story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, Sterling, you're up, brother.
All right, perfect. So I would say me getting started in the real estate industry was partially the universe and basically falling into it. I got started with a friend of mine on the construction side of things, doing construction on commercial projects, fire stations, and got into the inner workings of that and got my hands dirty. Didn't like the construction side so much. And I was actually working out at a CrossFit gym at the same time where I had met my mentor at that time. He was always discussing real estate. And at that time, he was looking to get into single families. And I approached that individual and said, he was older, very knowledgeable. And I mentioned, I will work for you for free to basically gain the knowledge that you have in this industry. And what do I need to do to bring you value and also solve the problems that you're currently experiencing? So at that time, he brought me on board. I got into the inner workings of not only his management company, but he was doing development on historic apartment buildings downtown. And as I stated, he was looking to get into single family. That's when I then found a property for him. And instead of taking a simple wholesale fee, him buying it outright from me, I partnered on him for equity in that deal. So that's one thing.
So you were working for free for how long for this guy?
I'd say about a year and a half.
How did you survive financially?
He allowed me to live at his apartment building.
Okay, so you didn't have to pay rent.
Correct.
So you got free rent out of the deal?
I paid about $200 per month to live in
Wow.
a prime location.
Guys, this is a clue. Okay. I mean, this is a big one. And you've heard it on the show before. Guys that have done this, you find a mentor, you work with them for free, and look where you are. You guys are approaching 100 units at this point. Fantastic. I love hearing that story. So you guys, and then you were smart enough not to wholesale a deal. You partnered on the deal. So what's the benefits of that? I mean, I'm going to let you tell it because I know what they are, but let's let the listeners hear it.
Yeah. Instead of taking the wholesale route, and there's that surplus that is highly taxable or taxed at a higher rate, I decided to take, I believe he brought the capital. He had 85% equity in the deal, and I had the remaining 15%. And just based upon the monthly cash flow that came in, I took a piece of that.
Okay. And you learned, and you continue to learn.
Oh yeah. I ran with basically everything from finding the contractors to doing the leasing, and really got into the trenches. So that's, yeah.
Invaluable knowledge. So then you guys met each other and you teamed up, and I know you've done a bunch of single family stuff together. And Jacob, tell my listeners about the call we had last year.
Yeah. So it was probably middle to the first half of last year that I got a hold of your podcast, because I was trying to shift the knowledge towards multifamily and get both Sterling and I knew that it's something that we wanted to do. And so I got a hold of your podcast and was just loved the content.
Oh, thank you.
I couldn't compare it to any other podcast at that time. And still today I listen to the podcast every week, but I ended up go ahead and scheduling a call with you after I listened to all these podcasts that I hadn't listened to before. And we had a conversation about our current infrastructure and where we're at with all the single families. And you had said, well, you set yourself up perfectly. Now just stop racking your head with these single families and go buy some multifamily apartments. And so,
and look at you now.
Yeah, that
got it done.
Awesome. And I talked to between emails and phones, I talked to almost 1,000 of you guys listening. And unfortunately, I've had to cut that back because of I'm instituting the course and the coaching now, but it made me feel good. I'd forgotten that. And Jacob reminded me when we started recording here that we'd had that call. And so that made me feel real good. So let's talk about that 46 unit, man. That's exciting. You guys, you did a syndication. You've got a platform called holdfolio.com, and it'll be in the show notes. And you guys pulled the money together. You pulled together, what'd you say, $685,000 to take down this 46 unit. Let's talk about that deal. First, let's talk about how you found it, and then let's dig into it.
Yeah. So one thing is we not only Jacob and I were shifting from the single family to multifamily, we were educating ourselves heavily on multifamily, and we were making contacts with brokers, establishing the distressed multifamily units that were in Indianapolis. And for this specific one that we're referring to, the 46 unit, I've actually driven past this derelict area for, I'd say, 4 or 5 years. And there's two multifamilies right across from each other. The one that we currently have, 46 unit, and the other that's 100 units. And the 100 unit has always been vacant, but recently a developer purchased it and is doing a completely new renovation. And then I drove back in the back pocket and noticed that the other one was in distressed condition. So in my head, I went to this excellent website called Google and did some researching and noticed that it was previously listed, but then the broker took it off the market. And I further started looking and saw that the current seller was shifting to be a debt collector, which was a sign of motivation in my head.
I'm sorry. I'm not tracking you there, but I want to stop you and I want to get back to that debt collector comment. But just for those of you listening, you guys, you're driving around every single day. If you're not looking around to see what's available, you're making a huge mistake. I can't tell you how many properties I've purchased because I noticed them on the side of the road like this. And look at this. This is how you found a 46 unit. Please don't discount the importance of driving around your area and looking for problem properties. And you saw an opportunity. The guy's developing the property across the street. Naturally, that's going to bring the whole area up. So you'd started doing your research. But what do you mean that you saw that he'd become a debt collector? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I saw he was shifting, and this was from my understanding that he owned other properties as well. And this was actually his last property.
Okay.
He owned about 4 or 5 other multifamily properties, and he was just basically liquidating everything. So he could shift from being a landlord to a debt collector.
Oh, I see. So he was taking paper on these other properties and selling them with financing. So that's what you mean by debt collector.
Oh, I meant he owned all those other multifamily properties and he was a landlord, but he was looking to shift from being a landlord to a debt collector full time. That's his current business.
Okay, so he owns a debt collection company. Okay,
Correct.
I'm sorry. I wasn't tracking the correlation between that and how that correlated to an opportunity. So that I was missing something. So he wanted to get out of being a landlord is the bottom line. Okay, got it. Okay, got it. So what happened then? Did you contact him directly?
Yeah, so I contacted him directly through his collection agency. We spoke on the phone. And he mentioned that if you're not willing to put down $200,000 for earnest money, this conversation is no longer going to go further. So
one of those, huh?
Yeah, one of those.
Okay.
And at that time, I knew that we had enough capital if we wanted to move quickly, that we would be able to go that route. He gave me a little bit more details about the property, saying that it was under contract, fell out of contract, and that if you want any additional details, contact this broker, which happened to be his sister. And
okay.
And then that's when we obtained the rent roll and also the T12, which was a trailing 12 months of financials.
Right. And that's, by the way, guys, when you're looking at a deal, the T12 is the most important thing to look at. Don't pay any attention to the broker's pro forma. I mean, certainly you can look at it, but that's pie in the sky. What you're interested in is what the property's actually done. So was it occupied?
It was about at 50% occupancy.
And why was that?
There was 8 units that went through a recent fire damage.
Okay.
And also it was just poorly mismanaged.
Is this a C area or D area?
It is a C area.
C area. Okay.
Correct.
And it's gentrifying just a little bit. You certainly the redeveloping across the streets or any other gentrification going on?
There is an area by the name of Fountain Square where it's really odd when you're driving through it. You'll see a house that's $40,000. And then you'll see a completely new build that's
that's gentrification. Exactly what you're describing there is, and you will see some rough characters walking down the street, and then you'll see houses that have been completely redone or rebuilt that are in great shape. And that is the process of gentrification. That is an incredible opportunity. So I've seen it happen in other markets and capitalized on it. So you guys got the trailing 12. You saw an opportunity to And that's probably why you raised 685, because you guys had to do a lot of CapEx there, right? You had to do a lot of renovation.
Correct.
Is that correct? Are you in the middle of that now?
Did you want to tackle that, Jacob?
Yeah, we are. And I just want to take one step back and
Sure.
talk about Sterling had noticed that it was listed, but he chose to chase down the owner and talk with the owner. And that's one thing we always try to do is if we can ever talk to an owner just to try to build some rapport, we do it.
No question. I'm really glad you brought that up, because the rapport is critical. Okay.
And this seller, he was putting the broker in between us, and he was trying to insert the broker. And what we did, I remember Sterling, when we actually went down and met a maintenance guy to go check out some units one day, Sterling brought a thank you card with him. And I was like, what are you doing with the thank you card? And he's like, we're going to take this to the seller's office and just get an opportunity to see him face to face. And so we drove out to his office. His gatekeeper comes out kind of asking who you are, do you have an appointment? And he said, oh, well, we just have a thank you card for Chris. And so Chris, the seller, let us in, and we sat there and we just asked him questions and let him talk. And we sat there for an hour, and he just spewing about how he wants to get out of rentals and focus on his business. And we just ate it up, and we got him to carry back $700,000. It was about 70% of the purchase price. And I think it would not have happened if we did not take the time to get in front of him.
I have to agree, and I have to add some emphasis to what you just said. Brilliant, Sterling, number one. Okay. And the other thing that you guys did, and you're dealing with a guy that's in debt collection. I don't know if you've ever had a debt collector call you. There are no uglier people on the friggin' planet. And I'm sure I'll get some hate mail from some debt collectors, but I don't care. Screw you. I don't care, because they're typically ugly, and I mean ugly as a personality. So the fact that you got in to see him, number one, is impressive. Number two, the fact that you were smart enough to sit and let him talk, like the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is all about letting people talk. If you're in a conversation with someone and you ask them questions and just let them talk, they're going to think it's the greatest conversation ever, because the other one's talking. Yeah. Brilliant. And the other thing that I'm glad you brought emphasis to this, because seller bonding is so important. Okay. And particularly when you're dealing with people that have been beat up, in the process, or elderly people, that can make all the difference in the world. And so very, very smart move for you guys to go meet the seller. And certainly those of you listening, if you're interested in a property, there's no issue with you going around a realtor and talking to the seller directly, and they will ultimately direct you to the broker. But as long as you're not licensed, if you're licensed, obviously you can't. As long as you're not licensed, you can talk to anybody you want. And I have no issue talking to a seller and just saying, hey, I saw you got it for sale. I'm happy to work through your broker, but I just thought I'd say hello and see what you can tell me about the place, and starting that relationship. So brilliant. Great job. So you got $700,000 in financing. Now let's talk about, you've taken it down. When did you close?
We closed the first to second week of February.
Okay, so you've been in it for 3 months now. Is that March, April, May? Yeah, 3 months. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Or 2 months? 3 months?
2.5.
2.5 months. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
one thing to say as well, Rod, the process took about 5 to 6 months from initial contact with the seller to actually closing on the property.
Why?
One was the deal was contingent upon one of the roofs being completely
replaced. Okay, and that was on the seller to do that?
Correct. That was on the seller.
Well, good job on that too. Okay, what else?
And we had a rough winter. So that was the biggest.
So that slowed it down, getting that roof done. Yeah, you're going to get that up north. Okay.
And a little bit of the negotiations as well
the
process.
We tried hard on several occasions. So
did you retrade? I mean, did you come up with a deal and have to go in and retrade because you found stuff that wasn't quite what it was disclosed to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just in general, we always like to see what we can get. You lose every shot you don't take. So
agreed. But the caveat there, and I want to give you a caveat, and the caveat is you don't want to get a reputation for renegotiating deals and be that person because it is a small market.
Yeah.
But you're dealing directly with the seller,
Yep.
as it sounds like, so that potential damage of that is not as great.
Mhm.
But do be careful of that, guys. You don't want to get a reputation as going in there and renegotiating every deal you do, or you're not going to get deals from brokers. It'll piss brokers off for sure. But hey, if something's not what they said it was, by all means go in and renegotiate. Retrade means renegotiate for you guys that don't know what that means. But if it's not what was disclosed in the broker's package or what was given to you in documentation, or you discover things that maybe the seller you didn't even know about, by all means renegotiate or retrade. Mm-hmm. So it took 6 months to get it closed. You closed in February. Where are you at with the deal now?
So right now we're just completing our improvements. And so we went into all the common areas and we're putting new flooring, two-tone paint scheme, new numbers on the doors, new light fixtures. On the exterior of the home, we're doing landscaping, some shutters. It's all brick building, so just putting some new shutters and painting the decks, putting up new signage and redoing the parking lot, really giving it a whole makeover there.
Yeah, that's a pretty extensive exterior makeover. What are you doing inside the units?
So inside the units, we're doing a two-tone paint scheme. We typically, a lot of the units have hardwood floors, so we're going ahead and refinishing those rather than putting a cheap carpet over it.
That's smart. It's smart. Don't cover up beautiful hardwood floors if you can refinish them. And by the way, when he means two-tone paints, for those of you that haven't done that before, typically, and one that we love is like a taupe color on the walls, or a very light taupe with, or off-white, not off-white, I'm sorry, like a light beige with white trim. Looks really, really nice. Is that what your guys are doing?
Yeah, we have a kind of a modern gray scheme.
Yeah, gray's great too. Sure, absolutely. With white trim is beautiful.
And yeah, so all these units are getting refreshed up to standards. We'll have all these common areas exterior up, and next Friday we're having a grand opening. And so right now the average rental per unit, they're all 2-bedroom, 1-baths. Okay. The average rent is $515 per month.
Okay.
And so our new rate is $635 per month.
Wow.
And it's $605 with a $30 bill back.
Correct.
I'm sorry. What does that mean?
So we're marketing the unit as $605 per month. And
but utility bill back, you mean?
Correct.
Okay, got it. So you're making them pay for the utilities. That's fantastic. And that's a great way to market it too, because anybody else that's marketing is not going to have typically the utilities included in the rent. And that's a very smart move that you guys are marketing it. And then you let them know when they come in and apply, the rent's $605, but we also, here's what you pay for utilities. It's a flat fee. And it's, it's cheaper than you'd pay if you had it yourself, and then you can sell that, but
we have the heat all paid by us in the marketing as well. So they take the sewer.
It's on a boiler system. So
Okay. And well, that's great. And how does that compare in your market? Are you at the top end at that rate, or are you where are you at as far as market, other competitors?
So it's pretty in line with updated units. The real comparable, and through conversations with the 100 units that are being renovated across the street, that owner, Sterling, chased him down and was adamant that we get on the phone, and we actually got on the phone with him so we could discuss. He's doing a little bit higher end renovation than us, and he's shooting for high 600, right around 700 for his 2 beds.
Perfect. Good call on that one too. I mean, you guys should align yourselves with your neighbors, and you can send people to him and he can send people to you. If they can't afford their rent across the street, they can send them to you. And if they want a little nicer unit, you reciprocate, and that's how you work together and accomplish your goals. How many vacancies do you have there now?
Currently about 25.
Okay, that's a bunch. So you guys are going to have to really kick ass and get those rented. So what are your strategies for making that happen?
We started the open houses on Monday to get the process going. And I believe we have between 6 to 8 that we are marketing at this present time. Okay. Now, do you have a website for the property? Right now no, we do not. Okay, well, you need to make that happen. That's number one. You also need to have floor plans and interior pictures and videos on that website, so you can direct people to that and they can and you can market that way. And you definitely want to do that. I had an episode, oh gosh, if I can remember her name.
that we talked about some guerrilla marketing techniques that might add value to you guys. I will email it to you, and I'll put it in the show notes, guys, for those of you listening. But with that many vacancies, you really want to be all over this. And
we have it syndicated on apartments.com, Apartment
Perfect.
Guide, and we also have a Facebook page as well that we
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's all great. And I would do some guerrilla marketing if I were you guys. I'd do some flyers. I'd go hit if you're not already, hit the local, if there's any schools near you, if there's any hospitals near you, I would guerrilla market this thing. And I wish I could remember her name. She was a ball of fire. It was a real great podcast. But there's a couple of them that have had some guerrilla marketing ideas, but definitely want the website, definitely want video of the interior, the exterior, the street, pictures, the amenities nearby, the nearest schools, the nearest shopping, all of that stuff on the website so people can just, boom, they can see it. Great. Well, that's awesome. How exciting. So now you've got another, let's talk about the next one. You've got a 50 unit under contract. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, we do. It's a 50 unit property about 2 or 3 miles away from this current one.
Perfect.
And it's probably a little bit nicer school district.
Okay.
It consists of mostly 2-bedroom units with some 1-bedroom mixes.
Okay.
And then it also has 6 townhomes.
How'd you find it?
Basically direct marketing to owners. So calling up the leasing numbers and chasing down.
Outbound
owners.
call campaign.
Yep.
Fantastic, guys. That's absolutely awesome. I mean, you tell people this stuff and it's so great. I mean, it's in my course. I mean, that's one method, and people are like, what do you mean? Actually call somebody that's got a place for rent, and boom, you guys got a 50 unit by doing it. Thank you for hammering home what I know works. So good for you. Fantastic.
And some of these owners have their direct numbers on these leasing signs.
Sure they do. And if not, you can find them. And
Yeah.
you can say, hey, are you tired of dealing with this property? I see you got it for rent. You can contact, go to eviction court and see who's doing evictions. You want to talk about unhappy people. That's how you find these deals. That's fantastic. So what's your per unit cost on this one? And how much CapEx do you think you're going to have in it?
So I think the per unit comes out to about $28,000. CapEx will be right around, I think we're looking at about $3,000 a door for improvement.
Okay, that's not bad.
And properties are trading per unit in that very same area around 33, 35.
Okay, and I'm going to tell you that is completely irrelevant. With respect. Okay, that is completely irrelevant. What's relevant is your NOI. What's relevant is your cash flow. Doesn't matter. I get people that call me and say, "Yeah, I'm buying this place for X, and last year or the year before it sold for Y." I don't care. What's the NOI? What's the potential NOI? What are the market rents, and what can you do to build it? So that's where the focus has to be.
I agree.
And $3,000 a door, that's not bad. You're just going to do some exterior cleanup, make it look good so you can bump the rents a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're expecting a couple of the roofs are going to be a little older on the buildings. We're waiting for a formal inspection. So
so you're going to allocate for that, which the bank, now how are you financing this one?
This one, because it's currently 90% occupied or more, we are working with a Freddie
broker.
Yeah, Freddie.
You're going to get Freddie's small balance loan. Yeah, those are fantastic. So you'll have non-recourse debt on it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
And I will mention, working with this, when we got in touch with this seller, he's a very old gentleman, travels a lot, really doesn't spend a lot of time managing the property, has an on-site manager, really honestly kind of off the, not really involved or like in touch with what's going on. And when we started talking price, he said, I'll sell it for $1.4 million, and that's it. And so we tried to go a couple ways at it to see if it's flexible. The price works well, assuming that we don't have a huge amount of improvements.
Right.
But we're working with this very stiff asking price from the seller. And so what we said is, it's very obvious that the parking lot needs to be resurfaced and restriped. It's obvious. And so we put it out to him, would you go ahead and take care of that before closing? And he took about 1 second to think about it. He said, yeah, I'll do that. And so it was like an instant just the way you ask sometimes.
No, that's fantastic tip. So you knew he was inflexible on the price. So you went at it from another direction. Brilliant. You guys are really adding value today. That's fantastic. And I hope you guys are taking notes on this, because if somebody is firm on one thing, that doesn't mean they're firm on everything. And sometimes it's not price, believe it or not. You guys I want to get it out there to you guys that sometimes it's not price. It can just be a quick closing. If you can find out what is really driving them and meet their needs, it's not always price. So, but you for this guy it was price, and you had to come in with an end run, which is really, really great. So, well, I can't wait to hear how that deal goes for you guys. That's fantastic. Are you raising money for that right now, or are you already fully funded, or where are you at on that?
We have not introduced this to our network of investors.
All right. So it's brand new. Okay. Well, congratulations on that one. And I know, Sterling, that you mentioned in your bio that you were exposed to Tony, read his book. So you guys are into self-actualization and motivation and pushing. And so what's driving you guys right now? What is it? Why are you pushing so hard and doing so and making things happen?
The secret to living is giving. Is one of my all-time favorite quotes by Tony. But it's not only about creating a legacy, but I was born in the rougher parts here in Indianapolis, and I just want to show the people, and I don't want to get teary-eyed or anything, but just want to show people who are raised in those settings that you don't have to take this path. You can take the current path that I'm on, or take a better route, and you can still succeed.
Oh, that's awesome. And I noticed you're a big brother and big brothers, big sisters. My wife, I was just mentioning to you earlier, is she's a big now. She's got her little that she takes care of, and that's a beautiful organization. I want to do a shout out to them. They are fantastic. And you're absolutely right. Life is about giving back. It's not just success, it's success and fulfillment. And there's so many people I know that are very wealthy that are unhappy because they don't give back. So coming from guys as young as you, that's really warms my heart to hear you say that. Well, guys, thank you for being on the show. You've added a ton of value. Unfortunately, I am out of time. I'm a little back to back today. I may want to get you guys back on the show and hear how that 50 unit went. And very impressed with what you guys are doing. So keep up the good work.
We'll have 1,000 units by the time we circle around. So
okay, I can't wait for that. That'll be absolutely magnificent. Great job, guys. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe and then take a moment to visit iTunes and leave a 5-star rating and review. For more resources to connect with us further, please visit our website at lifetimecashflowpodcast.com. Tune in next week for our next show.